In 2025, former President Donald Trump unveiled one of the most ambitious and controversial defense initiatives in U.S. history: the Golden Dome Missile Defense System. Inspired by Ronald Reagan's Star Wars concept from the 1980s, the Golden Dome aims to create a futuristic shield over the United States. A multi-layered network designed to detect, track, and intercept enemy missiles, including ballistic, cruise, and hypersonic weapons, before they can reach American soil. At the core of the Golden Dome is a revolutionary combination of space-based technology, artificial intelligence, and high-speed interceptors. One of its most striking features is a constellation of space-based interceptors capable of targeting and destroying enemy missiles during their boost phase, immediately after launch when the missile is most vulnerable. These satellites, possibly launched and managed in partnership with private companies like SpaceX, act as sentinels in orbit, scanning for threats and deploying kinetic kill vehicles, non-explosive projectiles that collide with and neutralize missiles in space. Supporting this orbital defense is an AI-powered sensor network that spans land, sea, air, and space. These sensors use radar, infrared, and electromagnetic technologies to detect missile launches around the globe, feeding data into a central command system. With the help of machine learning, this system analyzes the speed, trajectory, and origin of threats in real time, making split-second decisions to initiate countermeasures. In the event a missile slips past the space-based defenses, a network of ground-based interceptors provides a secondary layer of protection. These upgraded versions of existing defense systems are strategically placed across the U.S. and Allied territories, ready to destroy incoming threats in mid-flight or during their descent. All these components are coordinated through an integrated command and control network, which links military branches and Allied defense systems to ensure seamless communication and rapid response. This digital infrastructure enables the system to operate at unprecedented speed and scale, offering the possibility of near-total missile defense coverage. What sets the Golden Dome apart is its ambition to create a global and preemptive defense system, one that not only reacts to threats but actively eliminates them at the source, often from space. While its supporters see it as a necessary step in protecting America against modern missile threats, critics argue it is a costly and potentially destabilizing project. Concerns have been raised about its technological feasibility, massive price tag, estimated to exceed $400 billion, and its implications for the militarization of space, which could violate or challenge long-standing international treaties. Nonetheless, the Golden Dome represents a bold shift in how the United States envisions its national defense in an increasingly volatile world. Whether it becomes a groundbreaking shield or a high-priced dream, it signals a new era where the front lines of defense may lie far above Earth's surface. The process, how it works. Imagine a clear sky over America. Everything is calm. People are heading to work, playing with their children in the park, sipping coffee by the window. But somewhere, thousands of kilometers away, on the other side of the world, a missile is suddenly launched, ballistic, hypersonic, or cruise, it doesn't matter. It rises above the horizon, leaving a fiery trail behind, and begins its deadly journey toward American soil. Seconds are ticking by. And this is precisely where the Golden Dome comes into play. A next-generation missile defense system designed to ensure that no threat ever reaches its target. Almost instantly after launch, the hostile missile is detected by dozens of eyes pointed at the planet. Special infrared satellites register the heat signature from the missile's engine, even if it only lasts a few seconds. Ground-based radars, hidden in deserts, mountains, and forests, immediately pick up the object's movement and transmit the data to the central command system. On the ocean surface, deep in submarines, and high in the skies, marine and airborne sensors complete the surveillance chain. All of this is linked together into a massive neural network, an intelligent system living on high-performance computers in mountain bunkers and mobile command units. It's fed not only by raw numbers and trajectories but also by the accumulated experience of thousands of simulated scenarios. The moment the missile is spotted, real-time analysis begins. Artificial intelligence assesses the type of missile, its speed, trajectory, launch point, and predicted target. It determines whether this is a single strike, a full-scale salvo, or a decoy. Within 1 or 2 seconds, a decision is made. The threat is real. The system switches to combat mode, and the first line of defense is activated. Orbital interceptors. These are satellites in low Earth orbit, specially designed to shoot down missiles in their earliest phase, right after launch, when they've ignited and accelerated but haven't yet gained altitude or released warheads. This is the missile's most vulnerable moment. If an interceptor satellite is in the right position, it activates instantly. It launches a kinetic projectile, not a traditional explosive warhead, but a solid object traveling at tremendous speed. There's no explosion, just a direct hit. It destroys the enemy missile purely through the force of impact. It's like shooting a bullet with another bullet, at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. If the impact is accurate, the missile is destroyed in space, long before it's even halfway through its flight. But orbital interception isn't always possible. That's when the second layer of defense kicks in. The central system has already calculated the missile's path and activates the nearest ground-based launch platforms. These interceptor systems could be located anywhere, inside silos, on mobile trucks, or even aboard warships in the ocean. A surface-launched interceptor races into the sky, not guided by a human operator but by a real-time algorithm that factors in target movement, weather conditions, and even the probability of decoys or fake warheads. This entire process is continuously fed with updated sensor data. As the hostile missile approaches U.S. airspace, the final and most critical phase begins. The interceptor locks onto the target and closes in, within fractions of a meter. Then comes the moment of impact, a direct hit. The enemy missile disintegrates into fragments, which burn harmlessly in the upper atmosphere. No explosion above a city. No casualties. No fallout. It all ends within minutes. People who were just looking at the sky will never know what almost happened. Perhaps only in the evening news will they hear. The Golden Dome system successfully repelled a missile attack. Meanwhile, somewhere in the desert or in orbit, analysts are already reviewing the data, improving algorithms, and preparing for the next possible threat. This is how the Golden Dome works. Like a living organism, reacting faster than a human mind can comprehend. How does the American space-based missile interceptors work? In the vast silence above our planet, far beyond the noise of cities and the reach of aircraft, a different kind of guardian may one day orbit Earth. Space-based missile interceptors. Imagine a world where hostile nations launch an intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, aimed at the U.S. homeland. The missile rises in a flash of fire, racing towards space at over 24,000 kilometers per hour, 15,000 miles per hour. It's armed with nuclear warheads, and within minutes, it could cross oceans to obliterate its target. But it's not alone up there. Watching silently from orbit are America's ever-alert eyes. Early warning satellites equipped with infrared sensors, part of systems like the space-based infrared system. These satellites are incredibly sensitive. The launch of a missile produces an intense heat signature, a blazing fingerprint in the cold dark of space. The moment the missile ignites, these satellites spot it and alert U.S. defense systems in real time. Within seconds, a global web of computers, command centers, and radar stations begins tracking the missile's trajectory. They calculate its path, its target, and most importantly, the perfect point to intercept it. But how do you stop a missile that's flying through space, potentially releasing multiple warheads or decoys? This is where the space-based interceptor comes into play. Unlike ground-based systems, which must launch interceptors upward against gravity, space-based platforms already have the high ground. Orbiting in low Earth orbit, LEO, these interceptors are poised to strike during the most vulnerable window, the boost phase, when the missile's engines are still firing. During this phase, the missile is hot, slow, and not yet able to release its deadly payload. Upon receiving tracking data, the nearest interceptor platform activates. Think of it like a tiny robotic satellite, armed with a kinetic kill vehicle, a compact, ultra-fast projectile designed not to explode, but to collide with the missile in a head-on strike at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. There's no room for error. Guided by onboard sensors, AI, and real-time updates from other satellites, the interceptor aligns itself, fires the kill vehicle, and within seconds, a precision collision occurs. The force is devastating, even without explosives. It's the same principle as a bullet shattering another bullet mid-flight, but in the vacuum of space and at unimaginable speeds. This method is known as hit-to-kill technology. It's clean, fast, and leaves little chance for the enemy missile to complete its journey. Now, this whole system depends on having many interceptor satellites strategically positioned across the globe. Space is vast, and to catch a missile during its brief boost phase, an interceptor must already be near the launch site in orbit. That means the US would need a constellation of these satellites, constantly moving, communicating, and standing ready. Such a system has been imagined before. In the 1980s, during the Cold War, the US conceived of a bold program called Brilliant Pebbles. Hundreds of small, autonomous space-based interceptors designed to patrol orbit and intercept ICBMs. Though the project was eventually cancelled, it laid the groundwork for today's ideas and technologies. But building and maintaining such a system is no easy feat. The costs are astronomical, both literally and figuratively. Each satellite must be launched, maintained, and defended against attacks. Space-based weapons could also provoke geopolitical tension or violate treaties, leading to an arms race in space. That's why, for now, the US relies primarily on ground and sea-based systems, such as Ground-Based Midcourse Defense, GMD, in Alaska and California, Aegis ballistic missile defense on Navy ships, and THAAD systems designed for terminal phase interception. Yet, the idea of space-based interceptors hasn't been abandoned. New programs are exploring advanced sensors like the Hypersonic and Ballistic Tracking Space Sensor, HBTSS, to better track missiles in space. Directed energy weapons, like space-based lasers, are also being studied for future applications, offering a silent, light-speed way to take down threats from orbit. In the end, space-based missile interceptors represent a vision of defense at the edge of science and strategy. A system that could one day patrol Earth's skies invisibly, silently protecting nations from the fastest and deadliest threats humanity has ever created. How does the American Advanced Sensors for Early Detection and Tracking of Threats work? Imagine a giant, invisible web stretched across the Earth, the oceans, and even into space, constantly listening, watching, and sensing the slightest signs of danger. This is how the United States Advanced Sensors for Early Threat Detection and Tracking work. Their mission is not just to detect a threat, but to do so early and precisely enough to respond before it even gets close. This system works thanks to a multilayered structure. Sensors are placed on land, in the air, at sea, and in space. In space, surveillance is conducted by satellites like those in the SPIRS, space-based infrared system. These use infrared sensors capable of detecting the heat signature of a missile launch the moment it happens. They can see the thermal flash through clouds, day or night, from thousands of kilometers away. These orbital guardians form the first line of detection, watching the entire planet. On the ground, enormous radar stations, like those in Alaska and Greenland, scan the skies. They use phased array technology, which allows them to instantly change the direction of their scan electronically without physically moving the antenna. These radars can detect something the size of a baseball from hundreds of kilometers away. In the air, mobile platforms, ranging from AWACS aircraft with their spinning radar domes to high-altitude drones like the Global Hawk, patrol vast territories, providing real-time updates and supplementing the sensor picture. At sea, U.S. Navy ships, especially destroyers, are equipped with cutting-edge radars like the SPY-6, capable of tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously, from ships and submarines to low-flying cruise missiles. But that's not all. In today's world, threats come not only from the air or sea, they can be digital. That's where cyber sensors and signals intelligence systems come in, analyzing electromagnetic emissions, network traffic, and suspicious digital behavior to detect cyber attacks, radio interference, or covert activity in cyberspace. Each sensor sees the world in its own unique way. Infrared systems detect heat, radar sends out radio waves and analyzes their echoes, electro-optical systems provide detailed imagery, and signals intelligence intercepts enemy communications or radar emissions. Processing the immense flow of data from all these sensors is where the true technological marvel lies. Advanced signal processing and artificial intelligence algorithms sift through all this noise to spot real threats. The system can distinguish between a commercial plane and a hostile missile, or between a weather satellite and a reconnaissance one. It can also detect when something unusual is happening in the digital realm. But the true strength of the U.S. early warning system lies not just in the sensors themselves, but in how they're connected. Through a process called data fusion, information from multiple sources is combined and cross-verified in real time. For example, if an infrared satellite detects a heat flash indicating a missile launch, the system immediately checks input from ground-based radars, drone imagery, and intercepted communications in the area. Within seconds, it can determine not only that a launch has occurred, but where it came from, what type of missile it is, what path it's taking, and what the likely target is. This fused data is displayed on giant command center screens, where human operators make split-second decisions based on insights delivered at machine speed. If a threat is confirmed, the system shifts from detection to action. Interceptors based in Alaska or aboard Navy ships in the Pacific can be launched to meet the incoming threat head-on. These use a hit-to-kill approach, colliding with the enemy warhead mid-air at many times the speed of sound. But detection and interception aren't the end of the story. To face emerging threats, like hypersonic missiles that fly at over 5 times the speed of sound and can maneuver unpredictably, American sensor systems are constantly evolving. New satellites, like those in the upcoming next-gen OPIR program, are being developed to detect these faster threats. Even more futuristic are quantum sensors, still in early stages of development, which promise extraordinary sensitivity, able to detect minute changes in gravity or magnetic fields, opening new possibilities in surveillance and reconnaissance. And this isn't just theoretical, it's already in action. When North Korea conducts missile tests, US sensors are the first to know. In 2023, when a Chinese surveillance balloon drifted into American airspace, it was tracked in fine detail. In the Middle East, US bases use layered sensor systems to detect and neutralize drone attacks in the desert. This system isn't just a network of devices. It's a high-tech living organism, one that feels threats long before they arrive. This is how the American early detection system works. a digital sentinel that never sleeps. How does the American ground-based interceptors work? Visualize a scene where, somewhere deep underground, buried beneath the frozen expanses of Alaska, are massive missiles. Not built for attack, not carrying explosives, and not designed to destroy cities. Their mission is singular, yet incredibly complex. To destroy an enemy warhead in space, mid-flight, before it ever reaches the United States. It all begins with the very first sign of danger, the launch of an enemy missile. The moment it lifts off from a silo or mobile launcher, it is already being watched by U.S. satellites equipped with infrared sensors, such as those in the SPIRS system. Simultaneously, ground-based radar stations, massive, powerful installations in places like Greenland or Pacific Islands, begin tracking the missile's trajectory, calculating its speed and direction, and feeding this data to command centers. This information is processed in real time, because in missile defense, every second counts. Once the threat is confirmed, the ground-based mid-course defense system springs into action. This is America's primary line of defense against long-range nuclear strikes. Algorithms immediately calculate the missile's path, determining where and when it can be intercepted. The most effective time to strike is during the mid-course phase, when the missile has already exited Earth's atmosphere and is coasting silently through space. That's where the interceptor has to meet it. It's like predicting where a fastball will land before the pitcher has even finished his throw. Except it's happening at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. With the calculations complete, a command is issued: launch. From deep silos at places like Fort Greely, Alaska, a ground-based interceptor, GBI, roars to life. A towering missile, as tall as a 4-story building. Its job is to carry a specialized payload called the Exoatmospheric Kill Vehicle, EKV. This is the real interceptor. But unlike traditional missiles, the EKV carries no explosives. It doesn't blow up near the target. Its mission is to hit it directly. A high-speed collision. As the GBI exits Earth's atmosphere, the EKV separates and begins its solo journey. Navigating by star fields, infrared sensors, and real-time guidance from ground control, it fine-tunes its course with tiny thrusters. At the same time, the enemy missile may deploy decoys, inflatable balloons, metal reflectors, anything to confuse the interceptor. But the EKV's task is to identify the real warhead among the fakes. And when it does, it fires its thrusters and locks onto a collision course with unthinkable precision. At speeds over 15,000 miles per hour, the EKV slams into the target, destroying it with sheer force, long before it can re-enter the atmosphere. After the intercept attempt, data is analyzed. Satellite and radar feedback help determine if the strike was successful, whether the real warhead was hit, and if a follow-up interceptor is needed. The system is designed to handle complex scenarios, including simultaneous multiple missile attacks. That's why it's supported by other layers of defense, like mobile THAAD batteries, Aegis ships with SM-3 missiles, and emerging short-range interceptors for close-in defense. What's most astonishing about this system is the level of autonomy and precision involved. The EKV must make decisions in the vacuum of space within seconds, distinguishing a real warhead from decoys and hitting it head-on at speeds many times faster than a bullet. There are no Hollywood-style explosions, no dramatic fireballs, just a brief, violent impact in the cold silence of space. And all of this happens without a single ounce of explosive on board. But the technology is not standing still. A new generation of interceptors is in development. The Next Generation Interceptor, NGI. These will be smarter, faster, capable of engaging multiple threats at once. and resilient enough to counter emerging dangers like hypersonic glide vehicles, which fly lower, faster, and can maneuver unpredictably. This represents the next step in creating a proactive shield that doesn't just respond, but anticipates. This is how America's ground-based interceptors work. A hidden defender buried in the earth, ready at any moment to launch into space and stop destruction before it begins. Conclusion. The American Missile Defense System, often called the Golden Dome, stands as one of the most extraordinary achievements of modern defense. An invisible shield forged from space-age technology, lightning-fast algorithms, and millisecond decision-making. Its greatest strength lies not just in its firepower, but in its intelligence. It can detect a missile launch from the other side of the planet in seconds, calculate its trajectory in real time, and dispatch a silent, unarmed interceptor that meets the threat in the vacuum of space with surgical precision. No explosions, just raw kinetic energy and a perfect strike. What makes it unmatched is its layered structure. From space-based infrared eyes to ground-based radars, sea-based platforms, and the ultra-precise hit-to-kill interceptors. It's a system that sees all, reacts instantly, and adapts to threats that evolve by the day, whether from rogue states, hypersonic weapons, or swarms of drones. The Golden Dome doesn't just protect territory, it preserves the balance of power. It's not just a shield, it's a promise that even in the face of the unthinkable, there is still control, precision, and the quiet strength to stop destruction before it begins.